We just crossed the threshold.
I wasn't gonna do another video on this, but I just couldn't help myself. It was a rain-filled day here in New York for everyone, especially Jonathan Majors. The verdict came down today, but does that mean Disney are gonna recast him? Or will they just simply move on from the Kang Dynasty arc? Join me, dear viewer, as I dive deep into the dumpster fire that is Disney's Marvel. The MCU has been in flux for quite some time. Ever since Avengers Endgame, it's been nothing but disappointment. With flop after flop, many in the YouTube sphere, including myself, have called it the end of big spectacle comic book movies. The latest few flops in the Marvels and Ant-Man 3 have each lost Disney over $500 million just on their own. And that doesn't include every other box office bomb under Disney's belt this year. All told, they have lost over $2 billion this year alone. That's gotta hurt. And now this bombshell revelation. Their biggest bet ever, Kang the Conqueror, is teetering on the edge of death. Marvel have committed so much into developing Jonathan Majors as the next big bad villain of the MCU, only to have a New York jury crush every wokester's hopes and dreams. Today, a 6-person jury in New York... Wait, I thought juries had 12 people. Whatever. A jury found Jonathan Majors guilty of assault and harassment of his ex-girlfriend. The video and audio evidence painted a pretty stark picture of Jonathan Majors, but also of his ex-girlfriend. It was a toxic relationship between two narcissists that got completely out of hand.
To support Coretta Scott King. You know who that is? That's Martin Luther King's wife. Michelle Obama. Barack Obama's wife. Right? And I'm not saying I'm a great man. A great man. I am doing great things, not just for me, but for my culture and for the world. That is actually the position I'm in. That's real. I'm not being a dick about it. I didn't ask for it. I've worked, and that's the situation.
Bitch, please. You were in a bunch of shitty Disney Plus shows and one massive box office bomb. Give me a break. You're not MLK. As a famous rapper once said, you ain't shit. Jonathan Majors fucked around and now he's gonna find out. Disney has remained silent on the topic, but now a New York jury is gonna force their hands. They don't want their so-called family-friendly brand tarnished with the likes of Jonathan Majors. I guess they just draw the line at grooming kids movies and girl power. But the real question now is whether that means that the Kang storyline is dead in the water, or whether they'll recast him. Well, it wouldn't be the first time Marvel has recast characters within the MCU. Edward Norton famously was fired from Marvel for being an asshole, and apparently the same fate befell Terrence Howard when he was replaced by Don Cheadle. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that Marvel would choose to recast Majors. But let's look at the facts on the ground. Phases 4 and 5 of the MCU haven't exactly delivered any smash hits. With the exception of Spider-Man No Way Home and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the MCU hasn't been doing especially well. It's been a bad year for Disney, too. They've lost a ton of money. So when exactly is enough enough? Their whole strategy trying to push their streaming platform entirely oversaturated the market and diluted their brand. Before 2019, Marvel movies were a big event, something special, something you needed to see in theaters. It was exciting having to wait to see what happens next in the Infinity Saga. But ever since Endgame, Marvel has been flying blind. Kevin Feige even laughed about not having a plan or strategy for the next 3 phases. Well, that lack of planning shows. Phase 4 returned flop after disappointing flop. The story was clearly not going anywhere. The arrival of Disney Plus side of things now meant that you needed to watch shows with often nonsensical, convoluted plots that didn't do anything to the narrative to even understand what's going on in the movie. The prime example of this was the Marvels, which included 2 characters no one has ever heard of outside their shitty Disney Plus shows that pretty much no one watched. Monica Rambeau was about as bland of a character as one could imagine and just sort of appeared out of nowhere. And Marvel has been trying to make Kamala Khan a thing for the better part of 15 years, and literally no one wants this character. Her comic failed, her show failed, and now her movie failed. What all this ended up doing to the MCU was dilute a once beloved brand into something boring, soulless, and cash grabby. The story wasn't following the cohesive narrative that had made the previous 10 years of movies so successful. Disney ended up getting lazy, but most of all greedy. They attempted to shove all this content, and not to mention a healthy dose of identity politics and wokeness, down everybody's throat, and then they're surprised when no one watches their movies. The Jonathan Majors trial and verdict is an opportunity to stop and think about the overarching purpose of all this. It's an opportunity to assess whether their strategy should change and how it should change. But this is Disney we're talking about here. No lessons will be learned until Nelson Peltz fires Bob Iger and replaces him with someone more competent. Disney needs a CEO that puts profits ahead of political agendas. It needs a CEO that fires all the woke activists and groomers and goes back to making truly family-friendly content free of ideology. Only time will tell if Disney will get its act together. One thing is for sure though, Jonathan Majors is gone from the MCU for good. But what do you guys think of all this? Do you think Marvel should just move on from the Kang character? Or do you think a recasting can right the ship and get things back on track? Please do let me know down below in the comments. And as always, hit that like button, ring that notification bell, and smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.